Oh boy, this game collection sure is average.
Cut the Warpstar! Where's the next Cut the Warpstar episode?
What?
Oh, you look like a mess. Anyway, you heard me. Where's the next Platinum Warpstar episode? We've been waiting months for it.
Oh, I'm not making a Platinum Warpstar episode this summer.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. Why aren't you making one? We've been waiting for a very long time. Don't you have anything to keep us prepared in the meantime?
Oh, don't worry. I've prepared something even better.
Oh boy, where is it? What do we do to say it?
Sit down. Alright. I'm gonna tell you a story. April 15th, 2015. 2 years before Donald Trump was elected President of the United States. In a time before the took over the planet, I, Ryder, aka Platinum Warpstar, was a teenager. Contain your tears. It was a stressful time. I was reaching closer to the finale of my middle school days. 7th grade was a stressful time period for me. I had tests and textbooks and life and we're not talking about that today. But on April 15th, our school was set to embark on a trip to dig up quartz from a quartz mine. We've planned several months for this, and when the day finally came, I packed all of my equipment and we set off for adventure. This is a story of love, loss, and a whole lot of plot twists. This is the story of when I visited the Fabled Quartz Mine. On the day of the trip, I went to school early and met up with my bus buddy for the trip, Freddie. We were great friends with each other, and we went to pretty much every class together, and ironically enough, we were both super into Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a huge buzz at the time, what can I say? We packed our iPads, we packed our snacks, we packed our 3DS systems, and when we got on the bus, our 3-day journey officially began. I was nervous. This was the first time I had gone on a trip without my family away from the state for multiple days. I was lucky to have all my friends with me on this adventure. Of course, I was sitting next to Freddy, but the people in front of me were also my friends, Colats and Seahorse. I'm not name-dropping these people. I had some other friends, but I'm not sure where they were on the bus. I couldn't see them. Hey, do you want to listen to some beats on the way there? Oh, heck yeah, man. What do you got? The bus ride was a bit lengthy. I forget exactly how long it took, but we did make a number of stops. But Freddy and I played the shitty mobile port of Five Nights at Freddy's on the way there. I think this was his first time playing, so it was actually a lot of fun to watch. And I think we also played a little bit of Terraria as well. It was his first time playing that. But now, we have arrived at our first stop. A restaurant. Listen, everyone needed a lunch break. This was the time I got to say hi to all my other friends like Cam, Bunza, and Kyle. There's also Zarkon, who I'm friends with, but I wasn't able to talk to him very much. I only got to see him a few times. But yeah, we got to the restaurant, we were ordering our food, and we were having a good time. I sat next to a lot of my friends mentioned before. There was something on the menu screen displayed that my friends found super funny and they started laughing. Bro, what kind of name is Jim Burner?
I don't know, but that's the funniest thing I've seen all day.
But then, oh no, it's the fun police! Everybody hide! Unfortunately, Bunza and Zarkon were abducted and taken outside to get a mean talking to by the coach. They didn't really even do anything wrong, they just found something really funny and they started laughing. I could see them both from the window, hoping they were both okay. but they were just given warnings for some reason. They came back eventually, but the enthusiasm was gone because that's what the fun police will do. It takes away your fun. But yeah, we ate our lunch. I forgot what the name of the place even was, but I think I got like a burger or something. I really like hamburgers. Well, that was uneventful, a pretty forgettable place to go to lunch, but I do remember liking it. But we headed back to the bus and continued our journey.
So, if you flip off Balloon Boy while he's in the vents, he'll actually get scared off.
Wait, really?
No, but I always do it.
I'm gonna do it anyways.
I was added to a group text chat containing some of my classmates and friends, and we memed about a bunch of shit. I mainly memed about Five Nights at Freddy's, and Kyle wasn't having any of it. Eventually, after some bus riding, memeing, and play sessions of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 with Freddy, we reached our next destination, the Mid-America Museum. Y'all want to know something? Science museums fucking rule. There's so many cool contraptions at these things, so many moving parts and games. The Mid-America Museum was the coolest one I ever went to, though. Seriously, it started out sort of basic, but the further we went into this museum, the more it became like a wonderland of contraptions that were fun for us to look at. There was a giant fountain in the center with balls moving along a path to demonstrate physics, I guess? I don't really remember what it was for. But there was also a giant jungle gym that looked like you were venturing the insides of a cave. We had to take our shoes off, and I ventured in it. It was sort of scary, since it was getting a little clogged in there with lots of people and kids that I didn't know. I don't remember exactly how it was, but I think there was some crawling across rope nets in there. I always hated those, and I remember being stressed out by them when multiple people were in the same room.
Gosh, it's getting very claustrophobic in here. Well, if we all crawl one at a time and keep our balance, we can make it out of this alive. Sounds like a plan. Okay, now, what the hell are you doing?
I gotta put this on my Snapchat page.
Are you... Can't you do that afterwards? Yeah, come on, it's really hot in here.
Haven't any of you learned a thing about patience?
My hands hurt from keeping this thing level.
But luckily, I made it out alive. There was also an outdoor portion that was sort of like a giant neck climb. I don't really remember what purpose it had. By the fountain, there were some more contraptions, like a beach ball being blown by wind and staying in that trail of wind, a big vehicle thing, a thing that spins so fast that it looks like tiny little characters are being animated in real life, a twister that Bunza chopped in half because he's the tornado wizard, and electricity. There were some other things, like a spherical IMAX theater, but I never really cared for those. But I explicitly remember one thing. See, after climbing a contraption to see how high I could go before I got scared and climbed back down, my friend Kolatz told me to follow him to a contraption. He told me, "Okay, so put your finger here for a second." So I did. Then he said, "Okay, so I promise this will not shock you." So then he pushes the button, and I immediately get shocked.
Ah! God damn it.
I don't remember if it was actual electricity, it likely wasn't, but holy shit, it caught me off guard big time. And while I felt some kind of weird pain thing for a few seconds, in the end I found it really, really funny. So we had everyone else do it, and Zarkon took on the challenge of seeing how long he could last with his finger on the contraption, or how high of a level he could get shocked. The teachers had to tell him to stop because it was getting to a point where he was legitimately hurting himself. It was almost time to go, though. I tried to build the largest wooden block tower as possible before it came crumbling down. But as we were leaving, I took a trip to the gift shop, and with my hard-earned money and fascination with shiny objects, I have acquired my first artifact, the light crystal. I still have it today, and it reflects light. That's all it does, but I liked it enough to buy it. I think I also bought a plasma bulb too, but I think I lost that thing, sadly. Our adventures at the Mid-America Museum were sadly over. But holy shit, I had a lot of fun. After our quest at the museum, we then got on the bus, tortured Kyle with my FNAF memes, and drove for about another hour or so to the hot springs, which was our next stop. This was actually a whole town we walked around and visited, but we mainly went there to stop by the hot springs so we could understand why these pits of water were rather warm.
So, why do you think the water is as hot as it is?
I think it's because
A lot of people pissed in it.
All of us sat by the pit of water, and we all challenged ourselves to see how long we could stick our hand in the water for. I forget how long I managed to do it for. It was a few seconds, I think. It was actually pretty hot, like a bath you accidentally have too much hot water in, but not as bad, of course. After this, we went to the detour of any long adventure. Shopping! Yeah, there were a good number of shops in town, and we visited this really cool place with a lot of neat clothes, artifacts, and other cool things. I didn't get anything because I didn't really like anything there, at least anything that was cheap, because what caught my eye was that they had the legendary Master Sword for sale for like 80 bucks. Bunza tried to buy a funny weed hat, but the teachers wouldn't let him. Probably the right move, don't want to piss off the parents by accident. But folks, every adventure has a villain, or an antagonistic character at the very least. And our villain of this story is none other than Bob. I'm not dropping his actual name, plus it's been several years since this happened. Bob was a weird kid. He was super rich and could buy anything he thought was cool. He tried to buy the Master Sword, I think, but I don't think he was old enough at the time to own that. But he did buy an expensive knife. This sucker looked like a samurai's blade. I didn't trust Bob all too much, so I was pretty terrified when he bought the knife. I didn't want him to do something stupid with it. Back outside, some of my classmates started messing with this animatronic genie that told them their fortune. I don't really remember what it said to them, so let's just pretend it's predicting something that's gonna happen later in the story. We went back to the bus and drove to our hotel. We were finally about to be announced who we were rooming with for the next 2 days. But before that, one of my classmates farted and everyone on the bus was getting a little ill over the stench. Anyways, before the trip, we were told to list 5 people we wanted to room with most on the trip. My votes were on most of my friends who I've introduced in this video, but we'll see who I ended up rooming with. Of course, no sexy time was allowed because all of the boys had to room with boys and all the girls had to room with girls. But when one of the girl rooms had an open slot and Zarkon hadn't had his room announced yet, literally everyone on the bus was chanting for Zarkon to be in the room with these girls. It went on for like 3 minutes. Of course, it wasn't going to happen, but it was pretty funny. But we're getting closer to the announcement of who I was rooming with. Bunza, Kyle, and Zarkon were rooming together, and Freddy was rooming with... not me. So then, the final room was announced, and it was the only 5-person room. It was me, Colats, Seahorse, Cam, and Bob. How bittersweet. I was rooming with some of my best friends in the entire grade, and it was gonna be a blast! But Bob was also there. And I didn't trust Bob. I don't think any of us voted for him, but he voted for one of us, so he had to fit in with us somehow. But hopefully, this won't end too horribly. We all go to our rooms and unpack. Unsurprisingly, we had the biggest room of everyone, with a living room, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms. It was sometime in the afternoon, so me and the boys were chilling out, adjusting to our room. While Bob was busy flexing his wealth in our faces, and no one wanted any of it.
guys, our room is massive. Yeah, I feel like we could all share this as like an apartment of sorts.
This room is almost perfect for us. Hey, look at how many cool new things I bought for the gift shop at the Mid-America Museum. I bet you couldn't afford this big stretchy ball. Or how about this knife I got? This thing rules. I can finally scare people I really hate away from my home. So badass. Almost perfect.
A few minutes later, we were all called out of our room for dinner time, because there was a grill happening outside and burgers were being cooked. Of course, I seized the opportunity for the burgers, and I talked with my friends some more outside, including the ones I couldn't room with. I was being stupid and I decided to roll around on the ground for some funny reasons, and my friends, being the kind fellows looking out for me, pointed out that by doing that, it made my shorts very dirty.
Ryder, I understand that you were trying to make us laugh, and that's appreciated, but that wasn't a very good idea. Oh, why not? Fuck.
And dirty they were. I spent several minutes trying to wipe the mud and dirt off of my shorts, hoping that no one sees that it clearly looks like I shit myself. After that, though, there was a rumor going around us classmates. Apparently, some middle-aged man was staring at one of my classmates out of a window. And despite the fact that it may not have been true, this terrified me. I always had a fear of criminals coming in to kill me as a kid, and this did not help me at all. Everyone else was laughing about it, but I was genuinely concerned for our safety. We all returned to our rooms, and I'm still shaken at the thought of a threatening figure staring at one of us. I genuinely thought our room was going to be broken into.
Oh god, I knew I shouldn't have come on this trip. I don't want this room to be broken into. It's likely gonna be fine, Ryder. It's not like there's actually someone looking for us kids like a... Don't teach him what that is. That'd just make things worse.
Who better to come and calm me down than Bob, of course. He pulled a bunch of pranks on me. He said he heard the predator coming from down the hall. He said he called us on the phone. He even slipped a note in the door crack while I wasn't looking, saying that he was going to come for my ass. Really helpful, Bob. Thanks, you dick. Luckily, my friends were there to reassure me that no predator was going to come through the door, and that if he did, Colatz would kick his ass because Colatz was pretty strong. My friends are nice people. Apparently, there was a party happening downstairs with ice cream being served, but none of us thought much of it, and I was busy being traumatized. But then the teachers came to each of our rooms to test us on our safety skills to prevent people from coming into our room.
Okay, what
color are your shoes?
White?
That's not what I envisioned.
You really thought that'd work? What class period do you have us in?
Third.
Correct!
Surprisingly, even though Bob kinda made us a little rambunctious, we were the most well-behaved room out of everyone, so a golden star for each of us. Plus, we trained for this months beforehand, so not really surprised. But since this is a multi-night field trip, there were some rules that needed to be laid out. Very respectable rules to keep us all safe, but rules nonetheless. Here's the thing. Before the teachers go to their rooms and sleep for the night, at an unknown time point, they will go to each and every room and apply a thin yet strong piece of tape to the door. The tape will come off if you open the door. Unless a teacher comes to inform us on something and we open the door for them after quizzing them with things only they would know like we were trained, if the door opens at any point and that tape comes off, everyone in that room will get sent home. Doesn't matter who did it, doesn't matter if 4 of us were strapped to the wall and only one person could possibly open the door, everyone in the room would be sent home. A threatening, but easy rule to follow. As long as no one was stupid, we were set. Later that night, around 9 p.m. or something, Bob was hungry. Despite it already being done, Bob really wanted to leave the room to get the ice cream, and we would have let him. But A, we had plenty of food in our room to satisfy us, and B, we didn't know if the tape was applied to the door yet or not, and we didn't want to risk it. Since Bob wasn't very reasonable, this began our first battle of the story.
You know what? I don't need any of this. None of you blokes are any amount of cool that I thought you'd be. Now I don't care if the tape's already on the door. I'm getting my ice cream whether you like it or not, because I'm hungry. He's trying to risk all of our trips so he can get something that isn't the endless supply of food we already have. Get him.
Bob went to the door, and all four of us all got together and we pulled Bob away from the door as hard as we could. We were desperately trying to get him away from that door, because if he opened it, we easily would have been sent home, and it wouldn't have even been our fault. After enough tugging, we managed to get him away, and it was a really close call. But we once again assured him that we had plenty of food. He wanted ice cream, but he reluctantly coped with what we had. One of us had a family-sized bag of Swedish fish, and it was a pretty large bag, larger than one necessary for one person. Well, Bob went and ate the entire bag of Swedish fish. Listen, I can understand when you get hungry, but holy shit! You have no idea how unhealthy that is for you. I don't remember if he was satisfied after that or not, but afterwards, we were sort of left alone by him to do our own thing. The four of us were into Geometry Dash at the time, so we watched the 2.0 trailer for the first time, and we were all excited for it. For the rest of the night, we sort of just watched YouTube. Sleeping arrangements were made. Colettes and Seahorse slept in the room with twin beds. Bob slept on the couch and left the TV on all night until Cam turned it off. And Cam and I slept on the queen bed because we were the only two willing to share a bed. And we understandably knew how to set boundaries. You put a pillow in the middle. It's not that hard. And thus, we went to sleep. Ending day 1. Everything was swell. We got up, got dressed, the teachers came by and undid the tape, and we went down to the lobby and ate breakfast. Zarkon stood up till like 2 a.m. reading a book, but I don't know that entire story since I wasn't in Bunz's perspective. But yeah, we ate breakfast, nothing too bad. There's some pretty decent stuff at the buffet for breakfast, but I don't remember exactly what I had. We were getting ready to hit the bus again to finally head to the quartz mines. Things seemed well, but there was one problem. I assumed that I could sit next to Freddy again like planned, but the thing is, Bob wanted to be my bus buddy.
Hey, Ryder's my bestest of friends. I want to sit next to him on the bus this time. Right, Ryder? Yep. We are best buddies. Totally all hugs and kisses every day. Nothing wrong.
So, being granted his wish, the teachers let him sit next to me. It was awkward and not fun. He didn't want to sit next to me to be a good friend. No, see, in the hotel room he saw me playing Geometry Dash on my phone. Even though he has his own phone and Geometry Dash on it, Bob wanted to specifically play my phone. Meaning I couldn't use my phone for anything until he was done. I could have said no, but it was against my nature at the time to be mean to people, even though it's self-defense in this case.
Man, this is so fucking good. So, why is it that you want to use my phone instead of your own, which already has Geometry Dash on it? So what do you think of my new $50 knife? Play away, my guy.
After around an hour or two of bus riding, we made it to the quartz mine. This was intended to be the main event of the trip. Everyone was told to bring their own hard gloves and a bucket so as to not scratch themselves while quartz digging since they were very sharp. There was a shop with some very pretty gems, but the focus was on quartz digging. Everyone was assigned to their own section for them to dig for quartz. I didn't really get to see my friends all that much during this event. We mainly dug for quartz ourselves, and got surprised when someone got a really big piece. I actually did quite well. I got some pretty big and shiny pieces of quartz. Though it was super hot, it wasn't really ideal. It's funny because even though I barely interacted with the teachers on this trip, this time they actually went around and complimented my epic quartz digging skills. That was like the only time I interacted with a teacher the entire trip, aside from maybe some people like the coach saying hi to me in their typical playful way. Well, I got my second artifact, the bucket of quartz. The rest of the time we were at the quartz mine, we kinda just messed around. We watched the coach zipline over a giant ravine, so That was cool. We got back on the bus with our buckets of quartz. I sat next to Bob again, and he played on my phone. I genuinely forgot what we had for lunch, so let's just pretend we had sandwiches on the bus.
Guys, have you had to sit next to anyone different on the bus? Or have you been able to sit next to no one? Nah, sorry.
Anyways, like I said, more hours in the bus, my phone being played on while I used my iPad or 3DS because Bob just couldn't keep his hands to himself. We may have stopped at some places for gas or some other minor event, but at around 3 p.m., we went back to the hotel. Over the course of the next hour or two, we were told to prepare ourselves to eat dinner on a boat. Not just any boat, this was a special boat. So you know what this means. It's time to dress up. All of us were told to shower and put on our fancy clothes because we were dining out on sea. Well, not quite. It was a river.
Yeah, I only take showers at a maximum of 5 minutes. Anyone who goes over that is pathetic in my eyes. Yeah, who takes 30-minute long showers, am I right? Ah, fuck, I gotta clean fast, going real quick this time.
I wish I really dressed up in like a clean tuxedo and black jeans, but I had a button shirt, some tan pants, and some nice shoes. My hair was already combed, but I had to make it look spiffy this time. That's right, this was a fancy boat for the finest of folks. Take a breath, men, because it's time to impress some ladies. Is what I would be saying if I actually wanted to do that. I did the bare minimum. I think I just brushed my teeth again or something just to be safe. Didn't take long to get to the boat from the bus, but it felt like forever since Bob was still playing on my damn phone because who needs personal space? But yeah, all of us got on the upper floor of the boat and we talked about how important this boat was or how important the river is. I blanked all that out. I was just pretty nervous when I was sitting next to a girl. I didn't have any feelings towards them. I just had the cases of male insecurities come in, like you don't want them to tell you that you stink or you're ugly or something. Not that I did smell bad. I took a shower and put on a lot of deodorant, but it's just kind of an insecurity. You never want a woman to point out your shortcomings or stench if you messed up your hygiene that day. Anyways, after a while, we went back downstairs to the interior of the boat, and we all sat down at a table. I sat in front of Kyle and one of our other friends. We'll call her, I don't know, Beth. And I forgot who I sat next to. It was either one of my friends like Bunza, Cam, or Freddie, but it was probably Cam, so we're just gonna assume it was him. Kyle fucking decked out, though. He was actually in a tux, and I was internally angry because I wanted to have a fancier suit after knowing what I was getting into.
Kyle is such a gentleman. He even had the balls to ask me out to dinner once. Isn't that cool? He's such a good man, real 10 out of 10 guy. And look at how nice he looks. Isn't that impressive? He's really brave, not like the rest of the people here. Kyle is definitely one of my best friends, and I fully support him. Son of a bitch, I knew I should have worn a better outfit. Why didn't I prepare for this? Why didn't I ask anybody else? Why didn't I listen to my instincts every time I had my mindset I'm supposed to go someone and then wait for a different outcome? Damn it, Kyle, none of this is your fault or anything, but my insecurities are coming again.
But yeah, we all had a nice chat. I was glad to be with all of the people at the table since they were all people who I considered friends, and it was time away from Bob playing on my damn phone. At this point, I had been with these classmates for several years, so it was honestly kind of special having us all get together and have a fancy dinner like this. We waited for our food for a while. It felt like it took around an hour for the chefs to prepare all the food for us. For context, we were planning weeks ahead what we were ordering on this boat, like what meat, sides, and drinks we were getting. That sort of makes me wonder what happened if one of us changed our minds and suddenly dreaded eating what we had written down to order. But I chose chicken, so I was going to be easy to please. Put chicken on my plate and you'll satisfy me for the day. All of us were excited to eat these expensive dishes. We clashed our fingers together in anticipation of this special meal. But after a long period of waiting, dinner was served. Holy fuck, what am I looking at? Literally everyone on the boat complained the second they got their food about the amount of visible fat in the pork chop. I don't think my chicken had a whole lot of fat on it. I just remember the people with the pork chops not being happy about the fat on the meat. I was sort of just quiet about it. I ate around all the fat. I don't remember disliking the chicken, but I don't think it was something life-changing. I was okay with what I got. And then the music kicked in. I was sitting around talking to my friends, but the couples got up and started dancing. Well, there was one notable couple. It wasn't really that time frame where everyone started having relationships, but there were some people getting up and dancing with each other, while I, the nervous boy, didn't ask anyone to dance, or even dance by myself.
Hey, Cam. Yeah? You ever wish you had the guts to confess your real feelings to someone that you really shouldn't have been worried about in the first place because they were already really nice to you and even said nice things about you to other people and yourself?
Sort of. Why do you ask?
Yeah.
The boat went back towards the dock, and we once again piled on the bus. Before I sat down, I recall one of the girls telling me I looked handsome. I forget which one, but it would have made the present version of me all blushy and shit. People in my school were nice to me. You can take a guess what happens during the ride back. But yeah, the hotel. We were a lot more familiar with how to deal with stuff that night, so we all just kinda sat down and watched TV while I offered everyone the honey buns I brought. Bob wanted to go to bed, so we went to the room Cam and I slept in, and we all watched Impractical Jokers. The rest of the night, until like 11 p.m., way past our bedtime, we played real-life Five Nights at Freddy's because we were imaginative people who liked to pretend. We then got tired, and we went to sleep again after a successful mission of quartz digging and food criticizing. Tapes off, breakfast is served, we munch. During breakfast, though, I made sure to make my way over to Freddy, and I told him, "Yo man, you and I gotta sit next to each other again on the bus, you don't understand. This fucker's driving me crazy." Thankfully, he understood the situation, and we were back together again as bus buddies. After breakfast, we pack up our equipment, and we say farewell to our 5-person room. It was really starting to feel like home after this long adventure. We put our stuff on the bus, and I rushed over to my seat. Fingers crossed. Thankfully, though, Freddy is here to fulfill his promise and save the day. He sat next to me again, and we went back to watching each other play Five Nights at Freddy's instead of stealing each other's technology.
Dude, I'm gonna get jump scared in this minigame. It's gonna be so spoopy. Ooh, I can't wait for the jump scare. Bruh, I'm shaking.
We then began our drive back, and there were still some stops to make along the way. Our next stop was at this little park in the woods because we needed to do a science group project involving measurement and stuff. I really didn't pay attention. I'm sorry to the group I was assigned with. You were good soldiers. Before we got there, it seemed like the icky taste of the meat on the boat seemed to get to Seahorse because he sadly had to have a bit of a vomit. Seahorse went to take a shit just to make sure he didn't have anything else icky in his tummy, and the rest of us stopped at the park in the woods. We were assigned to our groups and we began to experiment. I really don't recall what it had us doing. We mainly measured the distance of like the ground and shit. And afterwards, everyone went to their own spot and wrote the results down in our journals. I couldn't find a good spot to sit. The one place I wanted to sit, which was on a tree stump, had bugs and stuff on it. It didn't look very pleasant to sit on. At this point, I was really just reflecting back on my adventure. All of the friends I made, the people I interacted with, the things I learned, the artifacts I've collected, and the hardships along the way. Sitting alone, writing in the woods was sort of the last point to reflect on my journey. Once all of us were done writing, we hopped back on the bus and headed to our final lunch stop. Where might the final lunch stop be? Cracker Barrel. I sat with my friends again, likely with Colats, Cam, and Seahorse, who was feeling much better after he threw up. I had a chicken sandwich, nothing too special, I just needed something other than another burger. Before we left, we went to the toy section, and in this toy section, I claimed my final artifact, the gyroscope. I don't know how the hell you use these things, I just thought they were cool. What did all of these artifacts do? Nothing. Hopped back into the bus, and a few minutes later, we arrived back at our school.
It was an honor fighting by your side. I'm glad we had that bag of Swedish fish, or else all of us would probably be dead. I had to keep the beast at bay somehow. Say, you want to Skype when we get home? I'm probably gonna be busy. Yeah, me too. Damn it. Well, Freddy, thanks for being my bus buddy again. If that one guy used my phone again, he'd probably... I don't know. I think I'd just die of exhaustion. No problem. Oh, and before you go, don't torture Kyle with any more FNAF memes.
Everyone said bye to one another, and my dad escorted me out of there. What a life-changing journey, man. I feel like I really gained a new perspective on life after such a thrilling quest. But it did teach me one thing. Stay away from rich kids with knives.